Back live tonight, here on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says all members of the Tripartite Alliance have agreed to campaign for the party ahead of the 2024 elections. It comes after the National Executive Committee resolved to suspend his predecessor, Jacob Zuma, who's been campaigning for the newly formed Umkhonto we Sizwe party. South African Communist Party First Deputy General Secretary Madala Masuku joins us more on that conversation. Masuku, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. I draw your attention once again to that comment made by President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying despite threats from the SACP to possibly go at it alone in the elections, it has now resolved to no longer do so. Accordingly, the Lekgotla believes that the ANC remains the party of choice to take South Africa forward. The alliance all agrees in all its components to campaign for the decisive victory for the ANC. What's the rationale? What was the thinking? No, the SACP likes to say they normally do a scientific assessment of the events and draw a conclusion of some sort in terms of the decisions that they make. If you look at the support of the ANC, others would say it's waning. Others are saying polls are predicting that it will be below 50%. The party itself is going through some internal ructions, with the former president now saying he will not campaign for this ANC of Ramaphosa, but has formed a party, or rather has put his support on a party called the MK Party. Why would the SACP, in the midst of all that is happening, say we still believe that the ANC is the correct vehicle?
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to the viewers. Firstly, let's congratulate South Africa and the people of the world and the peace-loving people of the world for what has happened at ICJ. South Africa has actually proved that it's fully independent state which respects the rights and sovereignty of all nations and strive to maintain world peace and settlement of disputes by negotiations and not by law, by war, which is enshrined in the Freedom Charter. Coming to the issue that you are raising, we have, after our Congress, you will remember that in the past, in all the Congresses, we've been reviewing how we should participate in the elections. And there was a strong view that we should actually look for an approach where we stand independently together with other forces on the ground. But having assessed the situation and realized that the imperialist forces are against South Africa. South Africa is actually not fully free to exercise its political interest. We have decided that we can't at this stage fragment the movement. We need to go as a united force to fight this interest, this interest towards a change of regime in South Africa, because it's a strong force. And we also have to fight against those who want to derail us from serving the people and concentrate on assisting themselves to serve themselves.
Yeah. So it's a collective view of the Lekgotla that there are several forces that seek to stop the transformative and developmental program and the gains of the majority of the people. Who are these forces?
From the perspective of the Communist Party, is that it's a never-ending war that we have been warned by Karl Marx before, that between the working class and the bourgeoisie, there will always be a contest and a fight, and the one that thrives at any point will make the other one a slave. And that's the reason why Communist Party fights for a classless society.
Yeah.
So it takes a form of, currently where we are, we think that imperialists are intensifying that fight because they believe that the trend, the route and the path that the ANC is taking is the one of focusing on saving humanity. And they are not happy of that because saving humanity means that all what you do must be to the interest of the people and to the benefit of the people. And it must not be more about favoring profit.
Yeah.
And imperialists would like us to do that. And as such, that is why it's funding so many structures, so many opposition structures, and even creating new ones and funding them, both on the right and on the left, on the left side, with the sole intention of reducing the power of the movement, not to focus on humanity, on delivering what the fully fledged freedom that is actually defined in the Freedom Charter.
So would you characterize a splinter group like the MK Party as an imperialist project?
I wouldn't be conclusive as such, but looking at its funding and looking at its activities, and if you look at the cost of those activities, you can see that not long its leader, Comrade Jacob Zuma, has just pleaded in court that he is bankrupt. And he has indicated that party is supposed to serve the poor. And us knowing the poor, those resources cannot be there. So it was always doubt as to whether they are not playing into imperialist forces' hands.
Yes. So the claim that they've got millions of people registering and paying some kind of registration fee to be able to fund the activities of the organization, you're saying that's a far-fetched kind of characterization of what's actually happening?
ANC was formed in 1912 and today is 112 years old. And still it doesn't have the millions that it is counting. And even when it enjoys the support of all the vulnerable people in South Africa, it has never had that number. So for a party that is formed yesterday to wake up in the morning and be able to say that it has got millions, I will take that with a pinch of salt, knowing what it is to organize on the ground.
Now, looking at the decision, therefore, taken by the ANC to suspend rather than to expel former President Jacob Zuma, as alliance partners, how do you receive that particular message, and how do you read why would a party not be decisive enough to the extent that they would expel this individual who has clearly decided he is going to support another agenda other than that of the ANC and its alliance partners?
We want to congratulate the ANC for having taken that decision and having ensured that they don't act out of anger and flout their own constitution. I think the decision that they have taken, it shows that ANC remains a democratic organization that is has a respect of law. And the procedure that they have actually followed demonstrate that. We also want to congratulate Comrade Jacob Zuma, because why do we congratulate him? Because as a cadre and a person that has been built up in this movement, was able to separate two things. to realize that with him in the ANC, it will be difficult to renew and also serve his interests. And for him to have taken that bold step to get out of the ANC, to allow it to renew, and him continue to live his own life, which is not in tandem with the renewal of the ANC and the alliance and the movement, has helped us a lot, because it was going to be a strain, because when you are a member of a collective and you are within a collective and have contributed a lot, it will become difficult for the other members to be able to easily push you out of the whole collective without trying so much to correct you. And we want to congratulate him for just having done that, and it has provided an opportunity for the ANC and the movement to renew itself towards making sure that it's and be accountable to the people.
What have you identified, or at least what have you put on the table as the SACP in the short term? Because I know your support is, in the bigger scheme of things, there are forces that are against the transformation, but obviously there are things that you yourself as the vanguard of the working class would want to see government deployees in particular do in the next few months.
Okay, there are two things that were presented in the Lekgotla. One is to ask a bilateral with the ANC, where we'll be reflecting on how we fight counter-revolutionary and ensuring that people have service and they are being served over time. So we have asked for a bilateral to deal with that and to look at the 30 years and say what is it that was slowing us down, and what is it that is going to what approach will we take in the 5 years to accelerate transformation in the society and also the bettering of the lives of the people. That's one. The second one that we have raised with the ANC is exactly what we are saying, to say there are things that are a thorn to the people and need to be addressed, and we need to put all our weight to deal with them. One, there's the issue of water. You can't have people without water. So you need to set aside resources and try as much that in the few months that we are having, we are responding to that. There are also people that are languishing in a very precarious conditions because of the disasters that have happened now. Now, our deployees must look at relieving those people as fast as possible. The issue of electricity, we said that all stops, nothing must be, no effort must be spared in dealing with the issue around electricity. Even if it means pulling in and putting in a capacity, a coal-driven capacity that is going to ensure our security of energy. So those are the things that we said we must do, because the transition that we're talking about should not be a transition that gets people in the dark. Should be a transition that ensures that people are having electricity. And this transition, an ordinary person mustn't even see it when it happens. It mustn't affect them.
Masuku, let's leave it there. Much appreciated, and thank you very much for your time and coming on this evening. Madala Masuku, First Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party.